Welcome back to Biz 15. I'm still joined by Liam and Mark from the Sheffield Eagles in the last of this four-part series with these guys joining the panel. To jump into this section mainly around the difference or the similarities, should I say, between the skills within business, but also some of the transferable skills from sport. One of my favourite films you might have seen is Coach Carter. It's quite an old film. It's, I say old, I think early 2000s, something like that, where basketball team in Richmond, it's I wouldn't say it's a predominantly deprived area in America, where the sports team, the basketball team, all they know really is basketball, and it's a case of what the whole film is based around what can we give these players, not just from sport but also once they finish sport or alongside sport, because rugby league is a northern sport. It's based in working class areas, predominantly Wigan, Castleford, Hull, places like that. The players might only know rugby league. They might that's what their aim is, to become a rugby league player, and once they've achieved that, then what is there potentially afterwards? And I think one of the questions I'd like to ask is this something that you guys potentially see within Sheffield Eagles, where you have to put something in place for those players once they are potentially leaving the club and then going on to maybe a non-sporting career?
I don't think it's us as a club. I think we potentially could do more, but like we touched on before, Rugby League Cares, the charity of the RFL, the Rugby Football League, have got our assistant coach Keith Senior works for them as well, but they help guide players from when they're about to retire or leave the game into civilian life, as it were, and that's not just from when they're about to retire, but if someone has a season-ending injury or career-ending injury, how they progress them into that, and it's whether it's through university, whether it's through different skills, whether it's picking up different trades and things like that, and getting the qualifications in place, because again, it isn't like football or other sports when they retire in the mid-30s, they can sort of live off and retire. Then they've got to pick up jobs and things like that. So yeah, there is mechanics in place to ensure that players can go from A to B, but I think where we are as a part-time club isn't that all our players work outside of this already, that they've got jobs outside of rugby league that probably pay better than we pay them anyway. So they've got that skill set outside of them. We've got a vast array. We've got some that work for Yorkshire Water. We've had postmen work for us in the past. We've got people who's self-employed, who own their own financial businesses, or electricians. There's a wide variety in the clubs that sort of have different skill sets. Because
it must be really difficult for a player that might be at the peak of their career, walk on the pitch or even walk onto training and has a career-ending injury, because one, if you retire you can plan for it, and you know that it might be your last season, so there's almost a wind-down period to say, actually, once this season's done, I need to plan for it. Whereas some of the players in their peak might walk onto the pitch and then have something that happens to them that means they can never step on again or operate and play to the level that they've ever done before. So actually that skill development that rugby brings will help them out, because they've not just developed a skill or a motor movement for throwing a ball around. It's actually the transferable skills that they're developing within sport that's going to help them once they either retire or have an injury or look to do something different. Yeah, and I think they're very, you've got to say as well, they're a very highly motivated group, because again, you've got some that are up at 5 o'clock in the morning, working till 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. They might go home, quickly change whatever it is, or pick the kids up from school, and then they're with us from 6 o'clock till 8-9 o'clock. And if they're going back to somewhere like Hull, they're only getting at 11:30 at night, and then they're back for work the next day. And that is from sort of November right through to September time. There's only a 6-week period when they have off from us, so that is 3 nights a week to do that. And if you've got young families, that is very tough. So I think they're quite a highly motivated group as well. So when they do leave rugby league, and again, whether that's through injury or they decide to pack in, or they retire at the end of the career, I think they're highly motivated and they're ready to go into that world quite well. I've touched on this previously on some of the episodes. So I had a sporting background in triathlon. So I competed across Europe and mainly across the UK. And in my first job interview, they didn't really give a monkeys about what I was doing academically. It was sport. What have you done sport? And they homed in on motivation, they homed in on team building, they homed in on communication and being able to work with people and communicate with people, not just of my age, but coaches as well. So when you're 16, 17, 18, your coaches are predominantly older, at least double your age. So it's that communication skill with someone outside of your age bracket as well. And that helped me get my first job from that sporting background. And there's so many transferable skills that can be used from sport into civilian life that probably people might not know about.
So, again, to what Liam said, having been around the players for 4 years now, they're very highly motivated and they don't want to fail. And I've worked with them outside of rugby through print, with their current players or past players or players that retired 5 or 6 years ago. And they still have that same mentality. And for my business, they push and push and push to get it there now. Because that's the way they are.
Yeah, it's a winning mindset, isn't it?
It is. It's a positive, driven mindset. And if they take that back into the business world post-rugby, like Lynn said, these lads don't earn a lot of money for the commitment and the time they put in, and they are highly committed. So, after rugby, a lot of them have good opportunities to go to. And
what skills does the club look for within players? Is there I'm not saying there's a sheet that comes and says you've got to have this, you've got to have that. The club will look for your motivations and look for other skills when they're looking at either developing the players but potentially bringing new ones in.
Yeah, so Mark Aston, our head coach, will go out and sit with players for 3-4 hours, and they'll probably test it. They'll sit in a services, or they'll sit in a Costa Coffee with them 3 or 4 hours and have that initial meeting. And it's not really about rugby. It's more about who they are as a person, what the background is, what drives and what motivates them, and from that he can find out what the character is, and hopefully and gain a good impression from them there. And because where we are as a club at the minute, he's got to find some sort of rough diamonds as well. So we've just took a couple of lads from Sheffield University freshers that he can see potential in. He's only sat down with them and believes there's some potential there. One's Ben Shields, that's come out of a good system at Leeds Rhinos. So again, he knows that at Leeds, and Keith Senior was there for quite a long number of years, that there is a good system in place there. So he'll have the good work ethic. He will get all good skill set there. He's come out of there at 18, and then he can probably bring that to us. But again, he's still 18, 19 years old, that he's coming into an environment with the likes of Chris Wellham and people like that in our club that are coming towards the end of their careers, but they played in grand finals and challenge cups, and the amount that they can give to those younger players as well and help them develop again is great.
And homing in on the skill around motivation, the fact that you've gone to, say, Sheffield Hallam University and you're taking players on who are studying, that motivation will come naturally because they've got so many different hats to put on once they're students during the day, and then they're a rugby player at night, and then they're something else. They'll probably have another part-time job doing something different. So actually, looking at the skills of the individual, that motivation piece is massive, because, like you say, if they're a part-time player, then they need to have other avenues of potential work or extracurricular activities to be able to make a living for themselves. So motivation's key.
I think they also love the game in general. I know Liam does. I fell in love with this game. I was a Union person and moved up north and fell in love with this game. And you only have to look at. I was looking at the social media during lockdown, and the players, it was not, doing this. They're like, I want to play rugby. I can't wait to get back on the pitch. I can't wait to do this. So they have a genuine love for this sport as well.
Is there do you put a big emphasis on that team cohesion? So making sure that you're not an individual. And when you get on the pitch, it's not 13 players. It's a unit. It's a team.
Yeah. I think one thing is I've saw one season where we had sort of pre-season. We only had sort of 18, 19, 20 players. And again, when you don't have that competition for places, when you've got 17 in the side, 13 on the pitch, 17 on the bench, people sort of can mould into that mindset of thinking, oh well, whatever I do, regardless, I'll pretty much be in that squad. So we've got competition for places now, which is exciting to see. We've got 28, 29 players signed up, so that is key, as well as what I say. We've majority of players, but our coaching staff put a lot of emphasis onto them. So what is it? What do they believe their commitments should be? What their standards should be? And then they feed that back to the coaching staff, and then they set out them standards, and it's player led. It should always be. They believe it should always be player led, and I've got to agree with them again. Mark, Keith, and Jed, our coaching staff have been in the game for a number of years, and I think they know what they talk about. They're highly experienced. They put a lot onto the players and go, right, you set out as a group. This is what you want to your aims, your targets, your objectives. Let's deliver them, and whether that's make sure the gym's tidy at the end of a gym session, or whether it's bringing your book on, wearing the right kit, whatever it is, that they're the high standards that they set, and they've got to deliver on that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Liam, but you were a player.
Nope. No. I played a little bit when I was younger. I refereed for quite a number of years. I refereed for about 5 or 6 years as well. But but it's you see the environment. So when we went to Wembley at the Challenge Cup for the 1895 Cup final, same day as the Challenge Cup, we went down there and stayed overnight, and that you can see the team environment, and you can see what commitment sort of Mark, Keith, and Jed and the rest of the backroom staff put into helping them 18, 19 players on a match day deliver. It is phenomenal what they do, to be fair.
And taking the skills from the players, classing them as on the pitch, obviously you guys have come from different backgrounds and different skills, so the team cohesion and everything that goes on the pitch is what drives the players and what drives the performance. But also, you guys come with a completely different skill set to what the players might do, because you're doing a different role. What would you potentially say, Mark, is the key skills that's essential to your role as commercial manager?
I wouldn't say it's any key skills. Experience is one thing, but you talk about team cohesion on the pitch and things like that. We've got that off the pitch as well. I honestly believe Liam and I work quite well together. Where I fall down, he has got abundance of skills, and probably vice versa as well. And we do work well off the pitch, because whatever happens on the pitch, it couldn't happen without what we do off the pitch. Whether that's a match day, a Monday afternoon at a networking event, a 7 o'clock Teams call about an RFL rule change, it's all part of the whole structure of the club. So teamwork is the biggest skill that we need at this club, anybody.
And it's similar to, if you mentioned around the skills that you guys will have from a management team, where you've got to plan, you've got to organise, you've got to direct people, then you've also got to mentor. That's similar to on the pitch as well, isn't it? From your side, you've still got to plan your game, you've still got to organise it, you've still got to direct people, and you've still got to then mentor if you're a senior member of the team for, say, a new lad that's coming into the team from Sheffield. It's all similar.
Yeah, I think a key thing as well is communication. So again, we've probably lacked in the past that, as a board of directors and as general manager, that we didn't really communicate. We've got structure in place now around board meetings. It's little stuff like WhatsApp groups. We've got WhatsApp groups set with the players, one with the backroom staff. We feed them information through that, and again, you just got to keep communicating, because, like I say, the part-time, you send a message on there, they can read it in work, at the training. Our board of directors, like Mark's got his own business, so you just need to be able to, there's got to be that understanding as well. So if Mark rings me at 9:30 on a Tuesday night, or if I ring him at 6:30 on a Monday morning or whatever, we usually pick up the phone. It's tough, but you've got to adapt, because that's how it is. Communication's
key, and we've touched on this on previous episodes, and like you say, communication's key on the pitch, communication's key off, and communication is key in a business. Because how do you know which direction you're going in? How do you know what your teammates are suggesting to do? How do you know what the plan of attack is? You don't if you don't communicate, and it's been drilled into me ever since I was fresh out of university, really, that without communication you don't really have anything, because you've just got people working in silos.
The other thing we have to have between us is trust that things are going to get done. Like I said before, we have very limited time, and we were struggling for time before COVID. We now have all the COVID regulations to do, moving into a new stadium. So if I ask Liam to do something, I know it gets done. It's as simple as that, and vice versa. And you need that to be able to function properly.
Great. Gents, thanks for joining me. Hopefully you found it great to talk about some of the challenges and some of the real good things that the Sheffield Eagles are doing, both from a business point of view, both on the pitch, but actually promoting the sport of rugby league locally and in the local community to put the Sheffield Eagles team back on the radar within the region. So thanks for joining me, and hopefully we'll see you on future episodes.